When Barack Obama walked into the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park on May 27, 2016, becoming the first sitting American president to visit the city the United States had destroyed in August 1945, the world watched the speech. The cameras tracked the wreath laid at the cenotaph. Headlines focused correctly on the gravity of the moment. Almost nobody at the time recognized the small, soft-spoken Japanese man standing nearby in the official delegation. His name was Shigeaki Mori. He had been 8 years old on August 6, 1945. He was, by the spring of 2016, the only person on the planet who knew the names of every American killed at Hiroshima. 12 US prisoners of war, the United States itself had not properly accounted for in 7 decades. He had spent 40 years of his own private weekends finding them. Mori had been born in Koi, in the western suburbs of Hiroshima, on March 29, 1937. On the morning the bomb fell, he was crossing a small bridge about 1.5 miles from the hypocenter. The blast wave threw him off the bridge and into a stream below. He gave his account of what happened next in a 2016 interview, hours before he met President Obama.
I crawled up out of the water and saw a woman tottering toward me. Blood was everywhere on her body and internal organs hung from her abdomen. While holding them, she asked me where she could find a hospital. Crying, I ran away, leaving her alone.
He was 8. There were no hospitals to send anyone to. The center of the city was gone. By the end of 1945, the death toll in Hiroshima would reach approximately 140,000. Mori survived. He grew up in occupied and then post-war Japan. He took ordinary jobs, first at a brokerage house, then at a piano manufacturer. But he had wanted, since he was a child, to be a historian. So he became one in his spare time, on weekends. In the 1970s, roughly 30 years after the bombing, a local university professor in Hiroshima approached Mori with a strange document. The professor had found in a government archive a list of names of 12 American airmen who had been shot down over the region in late July 1945. The professor did not know what to do with the list. He gave it to Mori. Mori knew immediately what the list meant. The 12 Americans had been aviators from 2 B-24 bombers, the Lonesome Lady and the Taloa, shot down during raids on the naval base at Kure, just south of Hiroshima. After their capture, they had been brought into Hiroshima and detained at the Chugoku Military Police Headquarters, approximately 400 meters from the spot where Little Boy detonated on August 6, 1945. They had been killed by their own country's bomb. For more than 30 years, neither government had acknowledged them. Their families in the United States had received only that their sons or brothers were missing in action and presumed dead. They did not know where. They did not know how. The US government, Mori would later argue in interviews, had been institutionally reluctant to publicize that American POWs had been killed in the atomic bombings because it complicated the post-war moral narrative of the bomb itself. Mori decided to find them. Working only on weekends, with no funding, no institutional backing, and no historical credentials, he spent the next 4 decades reconstructing the story of those 12 men. He pored over Japanese military police records. He requested American military archives. He traced shoot-down dates, capture dates, transfer orders, and interrogation logs across 2 languages and 2 bureaucracies. He interviewed the Japanese surviving captain of the Lonesome Lady, who himself had not known the fates of his crew. He pieced together, name by name, the identities of all 12. Then he started writing letters. He wrote, in halting English, to the families of every one of the 12 men in towns across the United States. Many of those letters arrived 70 years late. Most of the families had never been told the actual circumstances of their relative's death. Maury told them. He sent them what he had pieced together. He included photographs where he had them. In 2008, he published his findings in a book titled The Secret of the American POWs Killed by the Atomic Bomb. It won the Kikuchi-kan Prize, one of Japan's most prestigious cultural awards. His research eventually led the United States government to officially confirm the deaths of the 12 American servicemen for the first time. A 2016 documentary by the American filmmaker Barry Frechette, Paper Lanterns, told Maury's story to an English-speaking audience.
A dozen Americans held prisoner.
It was the single most watched American presidential speech delivered at Hiroshima. And it was the first time a sitting American president had publicly named, on Japanese soil, the 12 men whose existence the United States had spent decades not quite acknowledging. After the speech, Obama walked along the line of survivors and dignitaries. When he reached Maury, who was small and elderly and bowing politely, Obama opened his arms. The two men embraced for several seconds. Maury later told reporters, in his quiet way, "The president gestured as if he was going to give me a hug, so we hugged." The photograph of that embrace traveled around the world. It became one of the defining images of the Obama presidency. In 2018, at the age of 79, Shigeaki Mori traveled to the United States for the first time in his life. He attended a ceremony to unveil a memorial for the American POWs killed in Hiroshima. He attended a screening of Paper Lanterns. He visited Columbia University. He delivered a speech at the United Nations. The man who had spent 40 years writing letters to American families he had never met finally crossed the ocean to stand among them. Maury was once asked why a man who had nearly died in the American bombing of his city had spent half his life honoring the American men who had died beside him. His answer is the line that ought to outlive him.
The research I spent more than 40 years on was not about people from the enemy country. It was about human beings.
Shigeaki Mori died at a Hiroshima hospital on March 14, 2026. He was 88 years old.